Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your sports betting needs and sports betting info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code. That's Bleav, B-L-E-A-V, to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash. I'm here with former legendary point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. Guys, how we feeling? A week out from the draft, or a week past the draft. How you guys feeling about draft night?
Doing good. Feeling good. So can't complain.
Can't complain. I like what we got out of that draft, but I will say at the time when we were picking, there was a lot of guys that I would have been happy to take at that moment. But we talked about bringing in a veteran that could help out right away, and we did that, and we'll get into that on the show today. But
you almost guarantee the guy we got is going to play a lot more minutes than the guy we would have got.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of things to talk about in the show. Obviously, we kind of mentioned DeAnthony Melton there, but before we get into that, there's a couple things I just wanted to throw at you guys. So a report came out today that the Sixers will be rolling out the old school black jerseys that Eric Snow and Allen Iverson and Aaron McKee made famous back in the day. They will be rolling those out in the next few years, not this coming season, but maybe the season after. Honestly, that was my first Sixers jersey, was one of those jerseys. So I'm obviously excited to have that come back. But Eric, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that you think when you think of franchises, you think of certain uniforms, certain things that come into mind, and that uniform, even though it's not the traditional colors rather, but it should always be in rotation. Like that's the one uniform that's like a signature of a certain time of good times for the Sixers. So I think that like that is up there with like the Sixers red with Doc and Mo and those guys. I kind of see it like that. So I think that those jerseys should always be in rotation, just from a enthusiasm fan standpoint, and then a marketing standpoint. I think that you think about the different ages of the fan bases. Those two jerseys, those colors will always bring back great memories, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And we always talk about the last time we went to the finals and being the Eastern Conference champs. Who was wearing those jerseys? So maybe we bring that back, get some good luck going in the.
I hope so. I hope they can finish it off though this
time. About time, man. I love those jerseys so much. Now we can stop going to knockoff sites. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that.
Well, actually, I think my first jersey was actually in a hand-me-down from you. My Black Allen Iverson jersey was a hand-me-down from you.
Yep. And I outgrew it. Yeah.
Yep. The champion jerseys, and I hope Champion starts making the jerseys again.
Man. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But
no, there's too many contracts. Too many contracts for all that. I don't think Nike gonna let that one go.
Yeah. So within the last few weeks, we talked about the rumors going on, and obviously just overall NBA news. The Brooklyn Nets been kind of a lot of drama going on there. Obviously, stemming from the season, there was drama, and then now there was more drama. But now we know Kyrie's opting in. But for the last 2 days, everyone's kind of hesitant. Was KD and Kyrie going to go, or are they going to stay in Brooklyn? And still, there's some people out there in the Sixers world who think that KD may want out. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. But so there's a question that I saw online that if you could get KD, but the only way to get KD is to trade Maxey, would you do it?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Like I don't understand like these questions. Like we say we want to win a championship, but you know what I'm saying? Like how can you say you want to win a championship and then you got a chance to get Kevin Durant and you say no?
It's Kevin Durant.
Like, come on now. If it's Joel, then I think maybe you got to kind of like, I don't know where he's at in his career. I understand it, but no one else on the team can hold up a Kevin Durant trade.
Even if you say Maxey's going to be a 22 to a 25 point scorer, I still say it's a no-brainer. Like I'm firmly, I mean, Kyrie just did the opt-in, which actually might, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because, we could just slobber over this for a long time. But with Tobias's contract being and expiring next year, when it's a 1-year deal pretty much, might actually work in our favor, because if Kyrie says next year, okay, now give me my money and my long-term deal, and let's say, no, we're still not doing that, then he might actually want out, because at that point there might be a team. I think the Lakers actually will have some more freedom. Maybe they'll take him, and then we'll have the assets to do that with Tobias is expiring, and Maxey and Thybulle.
Yeah. I will just say, so this was a poll question online from Philly Sixers Nation. And the question was, is Maxey untouchable for you, even if it got you KD? 14,000 votes, and the vote is 50-50. So the Sixers world is pretty split on giving up Maxey for KD.
You know what that is? That's the Sixer fans being so snake bitten by all the bad draft picks we had, that Maxey finally was one that hit. So no one wants to sell on that anymore. It's like we went through the Noel, the Okafor, the Fultz. We got Maxey. We're holding on to him. Mine. It's like that. But come on, man.
Yeah. Like I don't understand that at all. Like we on this show, we saying whether Maxey would be better as a starter or a sixth man, but you won't trade him for one of the best players in the league and ever play in this league. Like
a lot of people will call us crazy for considering him as a sixth man.
Oh yeah,
I think people are just putting down votes just to even it out.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
It'll be interesting to see the comments on our show when this airs, because we have a lot of mixed bag when it comes to this, because like you said, I think we mentioned Maxey as a sixth man. We got hate on the show for saying.
Oh yeah.
So
saying he was a sixth man.
Yeah, possibility of a sixth man.
Yeah, and viewers didn't like it.
I mean, it was just like a lot of people don't understand the sixth man is in some ways looked at as a starter. Yeah. In some ways, even though he doesn't get his name called out, and a lot of times they play more minutes. Yeah, in a more important part of the team than a guy that maybe one or two guys that start. So I just think people just get so caught up in the guy starting and doesn't understand the value that a guy coming in and it's how it's schematic almost in doing that. So when we saying a guy isn't a starter, doesn't necessarily mean that he will do less. Sometimes he does more in that reserve role, because it's because he's still playing the same amount of minutes or more that he would play as a starter. So I get that, but I do get that people that don't really understand that and understand the value of that role and how it's used could see differently.
And it lets them sometimes excel at what they're good at, right? I mean, if you put Clarkson in the starting lineup, he wouldn't be nearly as effective. He just wouldn't be.
I mean, the main reason why is when you do that, you put them in a position where they kind of, some of their minutes aren't played with both, like in our situation, both their minutes aren't played with, his minutes isn't played with James and Joel all the time. So you put him in there more minutes when it's just one of those guys. So now instead of maybe being a third option, he's the first or the second option.
Yep.
Almost every time exclusively until maybe the fourth quarter. So that's sort of, you're able to bring him in and showcase him or give him the ball and let him massage a little bit. And now all of a sudden he's the number one option, number two option, where he can come in and you eliminate a lot of that, him being in the role of more of a spot up shooter as much. So that's the thinking. If people disagree with that, I mean, I get it, but I get it, but I don't agree with him not being able to excel in that role.
Yeah.
And I saw a tweet the other day that said, if a guy like KD becomes available, That's why you have messaging that comes out saying that Maxey's virtually untouchable in case a guy like KD comes out, because virtually untouchable. Well,
no one's untouchable.
Yeah, no one's untouchable.
Yeah.
But
guys that had no trade clauses have been traded.
Yeah, it's true. But I think Maxey has cemented himself in the starting lineup with the trade that we just did last week. So we're going to get into our first topic of the night with who may be our sixth man coming up here. So last week we had the newest acquisition of the Sixers. We traded Danny Green in our first round pick for Memphis Grizzlies guard DeAnthony Melton. Melton played college ball at USC, was drafted in the second round by Daryl Morey's Rockets. He spent time in Phoenix after that before being traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. Melton brings a defensive dynamo kind of mentality. He can do it all in offense. Career 36% three-point shooter, which is fantastic. I was looking at his numbers. It's great. He's regarded as one of the best, by many, as one of the best rebounding guards in the league. So honestly, really excited to have him. And also, I love the possibility of having a Melton and Milton backcourt with the night shift, with the night crew coming off the bench. So really excited about that. But what are your guys' thoughts on the trade and kind of the general DeAnthony Melton thoughts on him? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I like the addition. I mean, he did a great job when he filled in for Ja Morant for all the games that he missed. He made shots, he made plays, he's tough, he defended. And he came from a team that was really playing hard and tough and defending and have some success. So he's tasted some of the playoff success. He's tasted the role of coming in and playing behind guys and having to fill in when guys were out. So I think that he's been able to come in and establish himself as an NBA player, we can benefit from, because I think I kind of see him being in a similar role, very similar role with us. So it's not new. You're not taking the guy and kind of fitting him into a particular role that maybe he wasn't accustomed to. Where I think now he's into that same type of role, just a different player, different team. I mean, different players and different team, but it's the same role. So that'll bring some form of comfort for him going forward. And it's a team that I think wanted him, and I think he wants that opportunity. I know guys don't always like to get traded, especially when it's a surprise. That team was doing well, but I think that he can have the similar success with us. That's really in the same situation as Memphis was, trying to compete and not too far away from getting to the finals.
Teja, what did you think about that when you saw that happen all the way from Hungary?
I was setting an alarm almost every hour just to see what was happening. That's a diehard family out for everyone out there. It's funny. I was talking to a Memphis fan friend of mine, and I was selling him on taking Tobias Harris, and he was like, "Yeah, Tobias Harris would fit pretty well with us." It's like, what would you even want back from that? And I listed DeAnthony Melton in there. I was like, I'll take Melton. I'll take Derek Brooks. I'll take Dylan Brooks. There's a whole bunch of guys we consider taking. But no, I thought it was a great trade. It's funny, all the guys we've talked about over the last month, we have not mentioned him. Because I didn't really think he was available.
But we did mention the guy. But one thing we did, if I believe right, even if it wasn't on the show, it was maybe one of our other conversations. We did say we need sort of a guy like the Memphis guys. We did say that.
Yes. Yeah. No. We did. We did. Yeah.
We just didn't name him in particular.
Yeah. And we didn't think any of those guys would even be available.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they had too many. That's why we call them the Memphis guys. When every time you name with a team and say that guys, that means there are too many of them. So no, I think it was a great move, considering what Morey wants too. I mean, he's been talking about getting back to it being an elite defensive team, and he doesn't want to sacrifice too much offense. Melton ranked fourth in deflections per 36 and eighth in steals per 36. I've read not as strong as an on-ball defender, but has the tools to get there. Stronger at cutting off passing lanes. 6'2", so he's not huge, but he's got a 6'8" wingspan. They say he's better at switching maybe on threes, not as much maybe guarding them full time, but he can do it from time to time. Ridiculously athletic. It really helps us because we really did show last year that we were kind of losing some of the athleticism that we once upon a time had. Like Marcus said, he's one of the best rebounding guards in the league. I think Zach listed that recently on his podcast, maybe the best offensive rebounding guard. I read that his best offensive pairings came from when he was on the court with Tyus Jones or John Morant. So he's not as strong as a ball handler, and best when paired with a primary ball handler. So like we were saying a minute ago with Maxey going to the second unit, you better believe Anthony will come in. DeAnthony Melton will come in and either take over Harden or Maxey's spot, and then they'll kind of alternate that way, which is great because he can nail the three. I read that at the end of the season, when he filled in for John Morant in those games, he averaged 17 points off almost 54% from three off 7 attempts per game. So that was 9 straight games where he nailed that down. So that wasn't just a fluke. He can do it. I read that he completely rebuilt his shot a few years back, and that'll just get better and better as it becomes more comfortable with him. If they don't get rid of Thybulle, could you play them together? We'll see. Melton definitely has a good enough shot, and Thybulle is, well, he's Thybulle, but Melton Thybulle as your 6th and 7th man would be pretty good defensively.
Yeah. So I want you guys to dispel this notion real fast, because some Sixer fans are saying, oh, there we go, we got DeAnthony Melton as our 3. It's like, no, just because he has a 6'9" wingspan does not make him a 3. And I think a lot of people think that's what's going to happen. That's not.
I didn't see him as a 3 at all.
Okay.
Nah.
Like I said, I think there's maybe situations where he could end the game as a 3, but that's almost like you're playing a team where they're kind of small as well.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know if you can start him there and he can be that guy. But I do believe that there'll be times when you have all 3 of those guards on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that. It's like, oh, we got our 3 now. It's like, no, we don't have our 3. Like, that's not.
We're still looking for that. I think we're still looking for that. But he's a great way to break up the Maxey Harden. When one comes off, one's in foul trouble, you put him in there. Good off-ball shooter. We don't really miss a beat in that regard. We still have a guy who can defend really well, and then still hit shots.
Yeah. And then him and Melton off the bench, that'd be fun. Like, forget the name duo aspect of it. That's amazing. But like, I think that those two complement each other well. Come off the bench as the 1 and 2 pair.
Yeah, they
because
could.
because
Shake is your 4th guard. He's proven that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Melton wasn't a natural point guard. He's kind of developed that coming out of college. And you got the 2 guys who are both kind of combo guards. Who point guards not their primary thing, but they can they bounce off each other with Melton and Melton.
Yeah.
Especially
with Melton being more of the ball handler. I will say, good luck listening on the radio to Sixer games, because you're not going to know if Melton or Melton scores.
It's true. Just doing a little background about Melton. He actually was recruited to play the high school. I forgot what the high school was in California, but he was recruited to play there play football. Play their freshman year, had 9 touchdowns, and then went to as a freshman, played varsity basketball. And that was it. Most of his family thought he was going to play, go collegiate in football, but he ended up staying in basketball. And then he wore number 0 for Gilbert Arenas, because I guess he grew up in the same area as Gilbert Arenas. So that was why he wore number 0, Agent 0. But I don't know what number he's going to wear when he comes to Philly, but apparently number 22 was his first number in high school. So if we do get rid of Thybulle, maybe 22 becomes his number. I don't know. So we'll see.
He's trying to get rid of guys and give him his number already.
I'm saying
this is the numbers he can choose, man.
Well, he wore 14 as well, and that just
there's a lot of numbers, man. He'll be okay. He can pick a number, man. You don't have to get rid of a guy to get somebody a number.
No, I'm saying if we get rid of Thybulle, he could get his 22 back. But I don't think I hope that's Teja's job. I want to keep Thybulle. This guy wants him out.
Well, I mean, it look like it's kind of becoming your job now.
Yeah, I think after last episode, I cleared my name in the Thybulle business. I didn't close up shop. He's virtually untouchable. How about that?
Yeah, he was number 14 for a little bit, but he said there was no rhyme or reason for number 14. He said he just picked it, and
Well, you can go back to that rhyme or reason again, because the 14 just opened up.
That's true. Okay, so our next topic, we talked about the 3 position, and last week after our show aired, this rumor kind of sparked all over the place. Was that we are interested in making a serious push for PJ Tucker. Many believe after our trade for Melton, we were kind of done pursuing Tucker, that there wasn't going to work contractually. But NBA insider Mark Stein doubled down on the PJ Tucker report, saying rival executives believe more than ever that PJ Tucker will sign a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Sixers. And also in the report, Harden could possibly opt out and sign a team-friendly deal in order to help facilitate the signing of his friend PJ Tucker. So there's it's a mixed bag on this online. So I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about giving a 37-year-old a 3-year deal in PJ Tucker? Eric?
I mean, to me, the 3-year deal matters the most if in that third year. And when I say that third year, is like having him go past a Joel or, James contract. I think if he's before that, I think you can work it. I mean, I think maybe I would Bleav that third year is some non-guarantees in there. I can see that happening, but it's a mid-level. I mean, it's a mid-level, and I'm not necessarily looking at the age as much as I'm looking at the last 2 years. He's helped teams win a championship and almost get to the finals. So I'm looking at the production, what he's done and what he's able to give to our team. I think he's worth a mid-level. He's proven it the last couple of seasons. I Bleav that he's worth it. I think people are looking at the 3-year deal. And I understand that at that age, but I do think from the production standpoint, for what you would want in that role, in that, that level, he fits it. I would have to maybe have some consideration with that third year, in my opinion. But I do see him definitely worth that mid-level for 1 or 2 years for sure.
Teja, what do you think about PJ Tucker? I know you're a big fan, so here we go.
I've gotten so many arguments with people on Twitter already about this. People are making a big deal about $10 million a year. Heat are offering him $9 million a year. So that's the rumor is 3 years, $27 million. They're offering him $9 million. You can't offer him the same to come over here. You have to offer him a little more. And what's that $1 million going to get you? Who's the $1 million? Well, what is this gross overpay of $1 extra million that you can't even get anyone with? So what's the big deal? I don't understand. It's not our money, as the famous saying goes. You pay him $1 more million and you get the guy you really want. But if you don't do that and you say, and you tell fans, well, we would have given him 9, but 10 is just way too much. So we have to settle for another guy that we really don't want that badly. That's when you get booed. There's no gross overpay with $1 more million. If that's what Pat Riley thinks he's worth and we're giving him $1 more million, I'm okay with that. I trust Pat and I trust Daryl, 2 of the better basketball heads in the NBA. If they think he's worth that range, then that's fine. I do agree with Eric, and I said this too. I'm hoping that third year is a little, less guaranteed than the other ones. But if the rumors are correct, Harden's going for pretty much a 3-year deal, either whether it's an opt-in or 2, or he opts out and goes for 3. It's a 3-year. That's the window with this team, more or less, unless it's like they do a 1-year deal after that. So if it's a 3-year window and Tucker's your guy to be the 3 and give us what we need, then do it. I just don't see, as far as the Harden part, I mean, if he does the whole opt-out and does the shorter-term deal, he's 1,000% all in for taking this seriously and winning. That would show me everything if he does that. That would really surprise me. And he really wants his guy here, not only because it's his friend. That's ridiculous that people were saying that, but because that's what they need. And they said that right after it ended. And everyone's making jokes about like, oh, well, he killed the Sixers. Well, of course you want the guy that killed you. When you're playing in the park and the guy does you up all game, you want to be on his team eventually. I mean, you want to partner with him, right? Isn't that what we do nowadays in the modern NBA? Partner with the guy that beat you, Durant. I mean, that's what you do. That's what happened. So I'm totally okay with it. I mean, are there better options possibly for giving up assets? Sure, but for not giving up an asset and then getting him, if Harden just takes less, it's a win.
Yeah, 100%. And I gotta say, a lot of people say, "Oh, we're not doing enough to help Embiid out." Embiid explicitly said after that we lost the Miami Heat, we talked about what does this team need. He said we need guys like PJ Tucker. I mean, he literally said him, and he gave a bunch of reasons why we need PJ Tucker type. Right? There's not many PJ Tucker types in the league, right? And when you're saying the guy by name, it's like, okay, well, Embiid likes him. Morey kind of resurrected his career in Houston with Tucker. Let's bring it back to Philly and, and help Embiid out. Like everyone always says, the end of the goal is we don't want to waste Embiid's prime. If Embiid's pinpointing a player that he wants, let's bring him in, It's kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. It's exactly what we need. He I tweeted a stat recently. He was the second. I think he out-rebounded all of our starters, I think 2 games in the playoffs. He shot like 54% or around 50% against us from 3 in the playoffs. Like, yeah, Doc Rivers and Morey saw it front and center why they want him. They saw that. Now, we're going to talk about this. I like another guy so we don't run him ragged during the season because I want him fresh, especially with those 37, 38, and 39-year-old legs. So that becomes a priority too. Don't run him ragged during the season.
Yeah. And another thing about Tucker, he can guard. I've seen him guard 1 through 5. I mean, he can guard anything. And he's 37 too doing it. So it's like, okay, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the people are getting so wrapped up in the age aspect of forgetting what he did and what he did to us in the playoffs this year. So I think people are trying to liken the signing of Horford to signing of PJ Tucker because Horford dominated us back in the day. We wanted to get him on the team, and then that didn't work out.
That's a legit concern. That's a legit concern for people. But I just think that PJ's role would be smaller, and the expectations that you had for Al, were different. Starter behind or Joel, where I think PJ would be more of a 3-and-D, off rebound, hit the corner 3, defend. It's a more restricted role, and it's a role that we've seen him star in. He's not a star, but he's a star in his role. So I think that's a role that's necessary for us. And he doesn't necessarily stack with other players, meaning him and Tobias can play together. Him and Matisse can play together. So he's not a guy that you don't want to play with certain guys that's already on the team. So he fits.
Yeah.
But I do understand why people would say that. That's very legit concern.
Let me ask you guys a question real fast. So if Harden, would you guys give Harden 1 more year if he agreed to a lower amount per season?
So
like a
4-year deal?
Like a 3-year guaranteed, maybe 4th team option or something?
I would, if I'm a executive, no, I'm going for the 3.
The 3 with 3 at more money each season.
No, I'm just saying the 3-year deal that we talked about. Yeah, I would stick with 3, and then you can always do 1-year deals after that.
Yeah, no, I would love a 3-year at less money too. But if it was like his representation said, we'll go 4 years at way less money to fit Tucker in, but we want 3 years with
Would that 4-year go past Joel? How many years does Joel have?
I need to see.
You can't go past him, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right. Are you looking it up, Teja? Are you looking up the Joel Embiid's contract?
I am looking it up. I got it right here. We should all know this is our lifeline for the next few years. 22. It would go beyond that though. But if you don't think they're going to lock Joel up for another,
you can't go past Joel though. You can't.
I don't think Joel's going anywhere though. Let's be honest.
It doesn't matter though. To me, you can't have a contract, especially a bigger contract that goes past his current one.
Oh no, it's not. Sorry, his extension goes beyond that.
Okay.
Oh, estimate. Okay, so technically it would, but
then I would say no, you can't do it.
So when is Joel's?
But if they're planning on giving James 3, they're obviously planning on extending Joel. I don't think. I don't think that's going to be.
I get it. We would think that, but they haven't. So until then, you have to operate on his current deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So the next topic is kind of playing on this whole Tucker idea because it's a lot of the camps. If we do get Tucker, many people don't think we're going to get Tucker. So look at the other obstacle. If we don't get Tucker, if that 3-year 30 thing doesn't happen, if we don't enable Tucker, the other reporters of the Sixers are not going to dump players. So the whole to create cap space. So that's not going to happen for the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception. And by the way, this whole non-taxpayer level mid-level exception stuff and MLE, all that stuff, just like I got to do so much research, like looking this stuff up, what this actually means. That's just. I think that's just the whole MLE and NTMLE stuff. But some of the targets that were mentioned as guys we're going to look at as far as we couldn't get a Tucker type. And these are the kind of the 2s and 3s. I kind of mixed up with the 2s and 3s and then the bigs that we look at for the NTL, MLE and the MLE stuff. But Caleb Martin, Gary Harris, Otto Porter, Torian Prince, Amir Coffey, Jeremy Lamb, and Daniel House were the kinds of 2-3s of realistic guys that we could sign for that. And then the bigs that would be on a vet minimum, you got Serge Ibaka, Hartenstein, which I'm a big fan of Hartenstein, McGee, Hassan Whiteside, Drummond, and LaMarcus Aldridge. And this is obviously if we don't get if Tucker doesn't come to Philly. But of those targets, which are guys you'd say like, yeah, I wouldn't mind that on the squad if he couldn't land PJ Tucker?
Is it a choice between the wings or the bigs? Or can you get one of each?
One of each.
Maybe one of each. Although I don't think all those bigs will be on vet and mins, but yeah.
Yeah. For the wings, I think that, you think of like Gary, he's more of a 2 than a 3.
Yeah.
And obviously he's a Spartan, so I like him. I just think if with the addition of Melton, you probably want to lean more towards a true 3 than maybe a true 2. Because there's someone that could eventually start for you. So as far as the bigs, that one's interesting. I mean, you want someone that's maybe brings a different intangible. You look at McGee, he's played different places, but he has had some success and he has helped some teams win.
Yeah. I can't see him leaving Phoenix though.
Yeah, I think he's there, especially with Aiden's situation.
Especially,
I'm not certain on the big. Like I think it's such a stretch, with the big, and then you look and you say, well, what are they going to give us that's maybe better than our young fellas, or different? I guess you can always have one that's rebounding, but that one, if I had to, I would say McGee. Hardenstein just a little different from what we've had. On the bigs, on the wings, I would say one of the guys that are maybe a little bigger. I'll take Gary because he's a Spartan. One because of that, but the other ones, I think I would, with the addition, like I said, the addition of Melton, I would lean towards having a bigger 3 that maybe at times can slide to the 4 if necessary.
Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with you on that. I am a big Gary Harris fan, but again, yeah, I had the same note. I think he's more of a 2. I like Porter, Prince, and House because I think they fit that bigger 3 role. I think I'm a partial to House. He digs in defensively. He hit the 3. He can guard 3s, sometimes guard 4s, giving him more defensive versatility.
So they really don't think we rock his Northeast with the addition of House and Tucker.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's another thing too. He had his best years with Houston and Harden. He went from 18 to 20, from 2018 to 2020. He averaged 10 and 4 off 37% from 3. And he started 88 at 138 games, and he played 28 minutes a game. So he came out of nowhere and just took that role. So I think he'd come right in and contribute. I wouldn't mind a few of those guys we listed, but I think I'm a big House fan. As far as bigs go, Aldridge is a very popular choice on Twitter. People love to get that offensive big off the bench. And
I see why. He can score the ball. I'm just not. I don't know as far as health wise, like how healthy. Is right now. Like, that would probably be my only concern. Like I just don't know. I know he was out and he came back. I thought he played well when he had some time with the Nets, But if we're just talking about from a skill and talent standpoint, that's a no-brainer. The guys aren't really that close to him from that standpoint.
Yeah.
So
I'd say Whiteside gives.
But I do not think that he can play with Joel. He can't play with Joel. But he can definitely play behind him, and you can give him the basketball.
Yep.
So, but that's if do we want to play like that? We don't know.
Yeah. I think Whiteside gives us the rebounding and blocks that we'd want, that we've been accustomed to looking for when Joel's off the floor, kind of like the Howard and the Drummond. Hartenstein, rebounding and improved shot, and Morey drafted him, so it still falls under the check Houston, Philly.
I think the one thing that Hartenstein kind of gives you, if we're looking for it gives you a little something different than those other guys. Because I coached against Hartenstein, House, and all of those guys. Hartenstein gives you a lot of the pick and roll lob threat. That's something that I think out of all the people we named is probably one thing that he does better than all of those guys. And sometimes that's what you need is a guy to even. So if they're doubling or James or Maxey are coming off screens and he's able to dive and shrink that defense, I mean, that can help you. I mean, so that is one intangible I think that is important because we don't really we may have that in Reed, some other guys, but we have him who's proven that that's what type of player he is in the league.
He's improved his shot a lot too.
And the post-draft talk, I mean, I know when you hear execs talk, not all the time, they actually mean what they say, but it sounds like they are kind of big fan of the bigs they have in-house already with Bassey and Paul Reed going into next year.
Yeah. That? We also picked up DeAndre.
That's what I said. It kind of depends on how they are with who's already there. I mean, that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think Doc's going to want a vet big man.
He'll want a vet big man if he don't think the young guys can play. So if you see vet big mans, it's because they have a concern about something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's usually the case.
Yeah.
I learned that when I was a young guy in the league when I was coming back as GP's reserve and Nate was coming back and Nate was injured. And I'm like, okay, if Nate don't play, I got my minutes. And then they went out and got Greg Anthony. So
man.
That right there was my wake-up call. They're like, no, it depends on the coach. Like, and they used Greg Anthony to get me to sign. Like, if you don't come back, if you don't sign, we're going to get Greg Anthony. But they ended up signing him anyway. And he played more than me. So, I was a young, I was like my second year, whatever, third year. So, so I do know, and it was that George Karl just wanted a more veteran president. I know it was different back then. It was a more veteran league. But that's real though. That is real.
And Doc is old school like that too.
That's real.
Doc likes his vets.
I don't even know. I think I've read recently that Hartenstein probably won't even vet min might not be enough for him. He might actually get a MLE out of someone.
Interesting. Is there a rule? Someone on a YouTube commented saying that there might be a rule that you cannot pick up a guy you just traded the year prior. There has to be a year gap before picking up a player that you just traded. Is that true? I didn't look it up, but it was interesting because we talked about Drummond like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know if that's true or not, but if I had to guess, I would say maybe during the current year, but not the next year. Okay, that
would make more sense. Yeah,
maybe during the current year you do it, but I know. Yeah. I mean, I know that it was a rule that you had to do it like within a certain amount of time, and I think it was like that was more like that rule. If we're talking about the same rule, it was more about preventing you from trading a guy and then re-signing him for the playoffs.
Right.
If we're talking about the same rule, then yes, it was like during that season, if you can't really sign a guy, there's certain rules of why you can sign a guy to get him back for a playoff run. So people were trading people. What they used to do is to trade a guy, get a guy, already have a deal with the team that they're going to let him go, and then they cut the guy that you traded, then you get him back. So now you got the guy you traded for and the guy you traded.
Okay.
So it kind of removed that kind of thing that was happening. So that's why I said if I had to guess, I would say only in the current season.
Okay.
Not necessarily to next season.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. Are you looking it up, Teja?
Trying to, yeah.
Okay.
That might be hard to look up though.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like all the bigs that we got there. JaVale McGee was also part of the process. That'd be kind of cool bringing JaVale McGee back to be a backup for a team that's contending versus being a process era Sixers. That'd be interesting. Yeah, and also, you know, we talked about Gary Harris there, Eric. You probably saw we picked up Cassius Winston to be on our summer league team. So there's our Spartan right there. So maybe he makes a squad.
Hopefully, he can play. I mean, Cassius. I mean, what he did at Michigan State, I'm surprised he hadn't had a true shot yet. So hopefully, maybe this is something he can do. I'm not sure that how possible that could be with we drafted a young guy last season at the same position, but maybe Doc's a guard, so maybe he likes to carry an extra guard.
We're pretty packed. We're pretty packed at guard right now, for sure.
Especially with James. But sometimes coaches like to especially when you have James who's older, you like to carry an extra guard just from the standpoint of practice and rotations. And so if you're pulling him back, you still have someone else to kind of step in, fill in there in that position.
Yeah. Now I was surprised he really never got any playing time with the Wizards. They've been kind of, mediocre last year. So I thought they're going to give him a little.
And I knew that they were high on him too. So, I mean, I don't know. I know there's been some changes over there, and you have Russ one year and different years, and from John to Russ to new coaches, and so you just never know.
Well, it gives you more of a reason to watch if he makes our team and maybe goes to our Blue Coats, more reason to watch the Blue Coats, Aaron Henry and Cassius potentially.
I follow my Spartans all the time.
The MSU East. Okay. Did you ever find that answer, Teja, or no?
No, trying.
I'm guessing that's maybe not a rule then. I don't know. But okay. So assuming we do not get PJ Tucker, this is something that everyone's talking about. We know we mentioned Matisse. Matisse trade has been on pretty much a segment on the show for the last month. So because it still might happen. But some trades have been mentioned through Bleacher Report and other websites, and even a fan, a subscriber of ours, mentioned a trade as far as clearing up our 3 position with a Matisse trade if we do not get a PJ Tucker deal done. So here are the trades that I have for you guys. I want to know your feedback on this. So Nasir Little for Matisse was a trade that our Liam Karp, one of our subscribers, said that he'd be interested to see what you guys thought on that one. But then the other trades were Matisse and Furk for Royce O'Neal from Utah, and Matisse and Furk and Jaden Springer for KCP with the Wizards, and then Matisse and Furk for Jay Crowder, who is believed to be shopping him. Phoenix is shopping Jay Crowder, which would be an interesting one if we don't get Tucker. So of those, which one do you think would be more impactful for our team?
Jay Crowder.
Quick answer.
That was quick. Yeah.
You think he could play the 4, play a 3. He can make a 3. Tough, defend. What you trying to do? You're trying to win right now.
Yeah. And plus, that he of those guys, he brings the most like PJ Tucker-esque kind of mentality.
Yeah, very similar.
And younger too, I believe, by a couple of years.
Yeah, he's younger.
Yeah. Tej, what do you? I know you've been big on KCP. I know you've been big on Royce O'Neal. What are your thoughts on all these guys?
I think. Sorry, Liam. I think Little's too close to what we have in Matisse already. Is that really an upgrade? I mean, he averaged 10 and 6, shot 33% from 3. He's 22, so he will improve. I hear him on that, but Matisse is also young. He's cheap at $4 million and $6 million in the next 2 years. I just don't know if we're going to give Matisse getting another kind of unproven player with a questionable 3-point shot. I'm not as big into that. You're right. I'm a huge Royce O'Neal fan. I like Royce O'Neal a lot. I think you're giving up less assets that way too. I mean, he's 29. He's a Tucker type. Gives exactly what we need. Good defender, guard 3 and 4s, a dog type. Hits 38% from three the last 4 seasons. Pretty friendly team contract the next few years, and 9.3 a season the next 2. KCP would be a great get. I think he would also fill it. His contract's a little more though. I think like five more than his. We have to give him more assets for him, and we're already teetering on not being a deep team. So Crowder, I wouldn't complain about either, but I think, to be fair, Suns are trying to shed salary, so I don't know if they want to just do an even swap for salary. But yeah, he would definitely fill what we need with that Tucker type of guy. He's in that area of player.
Royce O'Neal, I'm okay with that one too.
Yeah, and he's used to being on a team just with a bunch of guys who can get the ball in the bucket too. So he's not going to come here and expect to be anything. He fits
a role. I'm fine with that.
Playing through. Yeah.
Now, would you guys? This is a question. Let's say it becomes down to a Tucker, Crowder, Royce O'Neal. Would you guys prefer any of those other two to PJ Tucker, or you think PJ Tucker is kind of the one we're aiming for than just the rest?
Problem is it's Tucker and Matisse though, right? Because we have to give up assets to get those guys. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So when you say Tucker and Matisse and Furk or Royce O'Neal, Tucker, Matisse, and Furk, right?
Yes. So that's the difference, is that you're not giving up anything from a standpoint like those. So a free agent versus a trade are different. So you have to go with that because of that. Now, if it was all trades, then you can look at it differently.
Yeah.
And look at all those guys, by the way. Most of them, the Royce O'Neal makes about 9.3 a season the next 2 years. Jay Crowder in that same range, I think 9-something. KCP makes 14. Everyone's complaining about Tucker. Again, go back to this, 10 a year. Come on. That's the going rate. That's the going rate for that guy.
Level rate. That's what those.
Yeah. But I think people's argument that's the age aspect. If Tucker is 34 and we're offering him a 3 year, $30 million, I don't think people are going to be pissed off about that.
He's playing at a high level. He's playing at that level right now, though. He's not slowing down. Tucker also wasn't like a full. How many years has Tucker? It's not like Tucker's been like the guy on a team. He wasn't James Harden for his team.
He came into the league later.
Yeah. He's got some more years, I think, the normal guy would have. If you take a casual fan, they would never guess Tucker's 37. He's in great shape. He looks great for his age. I'm not.
Yeah, but you do get the concern, though. Like I said, I do get it. I get it.
I do get it. And I get the Horford comparison, but he's not.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you're saying all things are equal, then yes, I think that Royce O'Neal and Jay Crowder probably become more attractive.
Yeah.
But I think that the PJ Tucker's deal is coming in because maybe those guys aren't available.
Exactly.
In the same way, in the same fashion.
I heard O'Neal is, but
and to be able to keep your same team in contact. In the same way, I don't think that those guys would be available like PJ is. But I think if you're choosing between those three to just come in and join the team, yeah, and you look at his age and you may stack them, you may choose differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'd say even for like a 3-year championship window, you'd still have Royce O'Neal over Tucker for just 3 years of championship chasing?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And part of it is because we have Tobias. I think Royce is a better complement to Tobias than PJ Tucker.
For now.
I'm just saying.
Now we did.
Well, I only speak about now. I can't speak about what we might have.
That's true. But Maury's been trying to trade Tobias since the moment he signed his contract. Okay?
And he hasn't.
That's right. But every year he gets closer because his contract gets closer to finish.
Yeah. So that gives us, this year it would be different. So I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I read Tobias as he was the Hoops Hype trade rankings. He was 72 overall out of the top 100 trade assets in the NBA. So we'll see what he is next year with only 1 year remaining on that giant contract.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see where this guy is. Our last topic here is Gordon Hayward. So now the Hornets are trying to get rid of Hayward, and I think he has a very similar type contract to Tobias.
No, it's $9 million. I think it's $8 or $9 million less.
Right. So a lot of people think everyone's trying to make up these trades and what the Hornets can do to get rid of the Hayward contract. So a lot of websites have come up with these trades. And the one I've seen the most is If the Sixers traded Harris and Furk for Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington, they'd save about $8 million and clear enough cap space for PJ Tucker. So we end up getting Tucker in that scenario. So the question here is, would you guys rather have Hayward, PJ Tucker, and PJ Washington, or Harris and a mid-level exception player like Daniel House, if it came to that?
It's a great question.
It really is. If saying it right now, I would say I would take the trade.
Yeah,
I'll take the trade and PJ. We'll have two PJs, but we can figure that out.
two PJs and Melton.
Yeah.
Again, good luck listening on the radio, man.
Yeah. So it'll be Tucker in Washington. But yes, I would take that one. Especially if Gordon's deal was similar to Tobias in last. And I don't know if the years are different.
The years are similar, and then the years are exact. 2 more years, but I think it's 31 million.
Yeah, I would do that. I would probably do that one. I've known PJ since he was in middle school, so maybe a little biased because of that. But yes, I would. PJ Washington. I've known since middle school. Not PJ Tucker.
I was going to ask you. We had to do that now. We have these guys. Remember?
Yeah, not PJ Tucker. So, yeah, I probably would do that. And because I think that being able to sign a full mid-level kind of helps. Even if you don't get a PJ Tucker, you may get someone similar.
It's really a 3 for 2 when you think about it. If you're getting another guy when you're opening up that full mid-level, if we're getting three strong, big rotational players for our team, I think you do it. I think obviously Tobias is better than Hayward. There's no question there. He's way more healthy. I mean, Tobias has been an Iron Man for us. For everything else said, not performing as well as he makes in the money department, he plays, man. He plays every time. Hayward, the opposite. He's Mr. Glass, but getting Hayward and 2 PJs can cut down on Gordon's minutes a little bit, hopefully lowering the probability of injuries. I looked into his last 3 seasons. So last 3 seasons, Hayward averaged 18, 6, and 4 on almost 40% shooting from 3 on 33 minutes per game. It's pretty good. It's very Tobias-ish, actually. He played an average of 48 games per year those 3 years. 52 was his max. It's like early Joel. Now, if you look at the year before in Boston, he came off the bench and averaged 26 minutes. So they tried to limit his minutes in order to get him to play more. It worked. He played 72 games that year. Not a coincidence. But his points per game went down to almost 12. So somewhere in between there would be the happy medium. Give him 29 minutes a game, maybe get his games played to 65 and no injuries. But again, you add in Tucker, what he provides. You add in Washington, who's averaged 12 and 6 on 38 from 3 the last 3 years, his 3-year career.
And the one thing about PJ Washington is I think that he's a guy that you could play with Joel a little bit, and you can play behind him.
Yeah, you could.
I can make a shot. So I that helps.
We have a lot of different lineups to throw in there if you add PJ Gordon at that point. You could get very versatile lineups. But yeah, again, man, you PJ and Hayward with those rotations, and you got Stu going.
Yeah.
So as a starting 5, Harden, Maxey, and then Hayward at the 3, Tucker at the 4, Embiid at 5. Is that you guys go? That would be it, right? Tucker be the 4.
Man, you can start PJ Washington.
Yeah, I would say what they're going to promise Tucker is that he's starting.
Yeah.
So that might get a little tough. You could go PJ and PJ. I mean, you might want to do what Boston did, bring him off the bench and lower his minutes. It just depends. You can do a lot of different things. Let's go ahead and plan for at least 20 to 25 games Hayward's going to be out. So those are 25 games that both PJs will be starting. So I think you can go all over the place with those lineups. I think you can, mishmash all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah. And that's a sexy bench with Milton, and Hayward. And Hayward came off the bench.
And Matisse.
And Matisse, yeah, that's 9 deep right there. That's nice.
Yeah. We go to being a very, very deep team and still top heavy.
Yep.
you still have the Maxey, Harden, Embiid.
Yeah.
And you have, Hayward's, let's say 16 points a game. Forget 18 to 20. Let's say 15, 16. That's fine.
Yeah. It's a nice mix for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't believe we just lobbied for Gordon Hayward, but you know what? We're here and
we were just asked the question. It was a hypothetical question. That's all it was.
Hey,
I heard they were dying to get rid of him. I heard they were attaching, I don't know if it's true. They were attaching a first to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would definitely do that, right? PJ.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have PJ Washington in the first, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I think just a little while ago, their GM talked about making sure they keep Bridges for a long time. They're going to do whatever they have to do to keep him. But I also read they're not going to offer him the max too. So I don't know what that means. It's a lot of double talk in the next few weeks.
Means he's about to go shopping. So what it means.
All right, fellas. That does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys next week as we talk about the first few days of free agency. I guess free agency begins on the 1st, July 1st.
Yeah, believe it.
No, the 28th, I believe, right? No, I'm sorry. 28th is today. What am I talking about? Yeah.
The 1st.
That's first. You're right.
That's Friday or Thursday? Sorry, I'm mixing up my day.
Friday, I believe it starts at midnight on Thursday, I believe.
Yeah, so
it's East Coast, so I think on the West Coast it'll still be Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know. It used to be like that. I don't know.
We have to look that up. I thought it was late in the afternoon. Free agents.
Well, that means we'll be hearing a lot about the deals that's going to be taking place on Friday, Thursday afternoon. That's what that means.
Actually, it says 6 p.m. on June 30th.
Yeah, Thursday. That's what I thought.
Yeah, so Thursday later. Yeah, so even better.
At 3 p.m. on Thursday, we'll start to hear some deals that are going to be announced in 3 hours after that. So
it's been quiet so far. So yeah, that should start to break up really soon.
The sources, they got to break the news, so we're gonna hear it before then.
Yeah.
Even though they're not supposed to be talking.
Yeah,
of course not.
Tampering.
But before we go, I think with Miami and Chicago losing those picks, you won't hear it as much this year.
That's true.
True.
And I forgot about them until the draft when they ended at 58. I was like, 58? What the hell? What happened?
You won't hear it as much this year.
Yeah.
But as you said, like you said, 3 p.m. Western.
Yeah.
You'll hear it.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we make some big splashes in between then. So
All right, thank you.
Next Tuesday.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.